today against a black majority district in Louisiana that rolls back a key provision of the Voting Rights Act. We get details tonight from Fox News chief legal correspondent, anchor of Fox News Sunday, Shannon Bream.
Certainly, the precedent of this decision will impact other states.
As redistricting fights across the country aim to reshape the midterm playing field, the Supreme Court has issued a decision that could send states scrambling to redraw maps in a move seen favorable to Republicans and one that has the potential to impact somewhere in the neighborhood of roughly 20 current congressional districts.
Was it considered a win for who?
A win for Republicans.
I love it.
The 6-3 opinion finds Louisiana erred in drawing a second predominantly black district, which it had done in response to earlier litigation challenging its map at the time. Justice Alito, writing for the majority, quote, "No compelling interest justified the state's use of race in creating SB 8. That map is an unconstitutional gerrymander, and its use would violate the plaintiff's constitutional rights."
Massachusetts Congresswoman and House Minority Whip Catherine Clark joins me now from Capitol Hill. Congresswoman, great to have you with us. First, I'd like your reaction to what the Supreme Court ruled today regarding the Voting Rights Act, specifically Section 2.
Yeah, good to be with you, Major. Today's opinion is another devastating blow to fair elections in our country. And listen, this is what we know. Republicans are looking at the same polls that we are. They know they're losing, and they're going to use every tool they have to try and choose their voters instead of having voters choose them.
Jan referred to some of the potential political implications of this. Pick it up from there.
Sure. So I think that there is a concern or a question about whether this ruling is going to kick off Chapter 2, if you will, of the gerrymandering arms race that we've been watching play out across the country since last year, when President Trump first said that he thought that Texas should redraw its legislative maps. And the reason that that was controversial is because typically states only redraw their maps once every 10 years after census figures come out. We're right now in the middle of that cycle. But Texas said yes, and that kind of led to a cascade of other states, both controlled by Democrats and Republicans, saying they were going to do the same, looking for an advantage in the 2026 midterm elections. Now, those elections are just 6 months away at this point. And so it's really tight, very difficult to redraw maps in any particular state with enough time for them to survive any potential legal challenges and train poll workers and get ready for that election in November. But already, Major, Mississippi's governor has said, he just said on Friday, that he is going to call a special session of the legislature 21 days after this ruling comes down, and the clock starts now because the ruling has just been handed down, to take a look at Mississippi's maps and determine whether they should be redrawn. Right now, Mississippi has 4 congressional seats. 3 are controlled by Republicans. 1 is controlled by a Democrat. And ostensibly, the goal would be to redraw those maps in such a way that you would then have 4 Republican-controlled seats in a Republican-controlled state. So that's the kind of thing that we could now see play out in a handful of states like Mississippi, like Florida, that weren't really part of that first round of gerrymandering, where we saw states like California, Ohio, Utah, Missouri, all scramble to redraw their maps over the last 12 months. Virginia just had an election about that very issue last week. But now we could see a handful of new states try to tackle their maps based on this new ruling.
And now we're at a point where affirmative action is gone.
Yep.
Diversity is gone.
Yep.
Equity gone.
Yep.
Inclusion gone.
Yep.
Racial tolerance gone.
Yep.
The Voting Rights Act largely gone.
Yep.
But guess what, extremists? We're still here.
That's right.
And we're not going anywhere. And we believe in this country.
That's right.
Not a perfect country.
Preach to them, brother. Preach to them. They all want to hear you preach. You got nothing else to say except, hyperbole like that. So I had a different show plan that I'm going to show you, partly because my voice is acting up in the second show. I don't know what that is, but I was going to show you a bunch more tweets by people just going crazy. And I'm like, it's going to get boring after a while. Yes, we get it. Obama, Kamala, everybody, every single person on the left that you could think of has come out and completely freaked out over the Supreme Court decision. So I'm like, no, I don't need to, because at this point, just like everything else the Democrats do, it was completely unanimous. Every single prominent Democrat, all of them, are freaking out, which should tell you something. Now, I do want to show you something that the boss put up. Excuse me. He finally acknowledged everything. And he says, today's 6-3 Supreme Court decision in a Kalaya's case is a big win for equal protections under the law, as it returns the Voting Rights Act to its original intent, which was to protect against intentional racial discrimination. Intentional being the big operative word. Thank you to brilliant Justice Samuel Alito for authoring this important and appropriate opinion. Congratulations, President Donald J. Trump. This is a huge win, bigger than most people realize. And so I posed a question in the chat. And those of you who didn't cheat, SB, I saw you typing. Those of you who didn't cheat, probably like, what in the hell is the broken window theory? So I'm gonna take a bit of poetic license, so just a little bit of poetic license, and talk to you about something called the broken window theory. And I'm going to apply it to what we saw today with the Supreme Court. It's usually, left to putting the opinion on for a criminal type perspective. But I have a whole different take on it that I want you guys to hear, because I really think it's appropriate. And then we'll get back into some video and we can laugh at some libtards. But if you've never heard of the broken window theory, let me play a short video that I have here to begin to explain it. All right, let's listen to this, and I'm going to cut in because I'm going to give you my feeling on all of this.
Imagine you're walking through a neighborhood. On one side of the street, there's a house with neat flower beds, a freshly painted fence, and not a single piece of trash in sight. Across the street, there's another house with a broken window, graffiti on the walls, and overgrown weeds. Which side makes you feel safer?
It's a pretty easy answer. Which side makes you feel safer? What neighborhood do you want to live in? You want to live in the house with the manicured lawns in a neighborhood? Or do you want to live where there's graffiti and broken windows and garbage and homeless people, drug addicts, that just seems to promulgate more and more of the same? If you have homeless people, you're going to probably get more homeless people. If you have people doing drugs, they're probably going to gravitate because they know they're safe to do their drugs. If you see some broken windows, you're probably going to see more broken windows. Not telling you anything different here. But I want to dig into this, and I'm going to use some poetic license to tie this to the Supreme Court, because I like to talk about something bigger that explains decades of failure in our inner cities. And that would be the broken windows theory. See, back in 1982, two really smart guys wrote this theory. Basically, if you let one broken window go unfixed, it's going to invite more broken windows. And people are, I will admit, as a young, mischievous child, I walked up to a building that was empty with broken windows. Me and my buddies would pick up stones and throw and break more windows. I'm not proud of it, but hey, those are broken, so let's take some target practice at the windows. Pretty soon, the whole building is destroyed. People see the disorder, and they think nobody cares. Maybe some of you right now can see where I'm going with this, because disorder breeds more disorder. It's a proven fact. Crime breeds crime. Why is it that people, like me, can live in a gated community and, knock on wood, we don't see the crime? I don't go to sleep hearing sirens. But if you live in these certain areas, you not only do you hear the sirens, you might hear bullets. You're afraid to park your car outside because of vandalism, because more vandalism becomes more vandalism. And long before too long, you've got yourself living in a war zone. Now apply that to many Black communities across the country. You see, here's my take. And understanding now what the broken window theory is, that more broken windows cause more broken windows. There have been visible signs of decay, disorder, and neglect in many Black communities in America, which I purport have led to decades of further neglect. That's why the hood remains the hood. Many of you know, you've probably grown up in I know I could take you to the hood right now. Everybody knows where the hood near them, unless you're lucky live in rural area. But other than that, everybody on chat right now, everybody who watches this video on demand can go, I know exactly where the hood is. It's been the hood. It's always going to be the hood, it seems. You see, the signal for the broken window theory is the promulgation of crime begets crime. Homelessness begets homelessness. Black helplessness begets Black helplessness. It's a signal that since 1965, the Democrats didn't care. Just like the slumlords, just like the people, me breaking windows, we don't care. The Democrats haven't cared about Black communities across the country for quite some time. And that led to ongoing neglect by many Democrat politicians. But worse, it fostered a feeling of acceptance by many people in Black communities that this is my life. Nothing changes. Same people in the same places and cities near you get up every single morning like they've done for 10 or 20 years and nothing changes. The junkies are shooting up. The homeless people are rummaging through the garbage. The broken windows, the burned out apartments, the crime, the police, they get used to it. The bullets flying. Why is that? Why has that been allowed to continue in our own communities here in America? Yet, the cost for accepting that is your vote. And you pay it every 2 or 4 years, but you get no return. Every single one of you at this point who have worked a job, maybe opened a business, you understand an investment. You're investing your time, you're investing your money, you're investing your thought into how you want to live your life. Imagine waking up every single day and you realize nothing is going to change. Nobody's coming to help. This is it. Bullets, sirens, druggies, drug dealers, prostitutes, broken windows. And since 1965, the Democrats have ignored the solution because the part of the broken window theory is to have a solution so that it doesn't continue to be a broken window neighborhood. Democrats haven't had any solution. Never. The solution is easy. The solution to fix the broken window neighborhood is to educate and train the Black people. And I hate that I'm even saying it's Black because we all know, excuse me, it's mostly Black communities. Educate them and train them so that they can become more productive, yet instead the Democrats choose to pander to them. Oh, you'll be okay. I'll get you some food stamps. I'll get you to fill up that EBT card. We'll get you that Obama phone and everything will be okay. But none of them ever say, can I help you get out of here? I'm like, no, that's not the answer. We don't want you to leave. We just need your vote. And so what happens based upon the broken window theory? The neglect, the obvious neglect that people in the black communities have gone through, it perpetuates. It never changes because they don't want it to change.
Which side makes you think twice about walking alone at night? This simple idea of how our surroundings shape our behavior is at the heart of the broken windows theory, a concept that has sparked debates in criminology, psychology, and policing for decades. Developed by social scientists James Q. Wilson and George L. Kelling in the early 1980s, the theory suggests that visible signs of disorder and neglect, like that single broken window, aren't just symptoms of a problem. They might be the problem itself.
How easy is that to look at? The broken windows, the prostitutes, the drug addicts, the drug dealers, the bullets, they're not the symptoms of the problem. That is the problem. And once you take your perspective and look at it that way, you're like, wait a second. You realize it's so true. If you fix that, then you fix the communities. So if you have the recipe and say, wait a second, okay, what I need to do here in this community is I need to get rid of the drug dealers, the homeless people, the criminals, the people shooting bullets, the gangs. I need to get rid of all that. Those are my problems. And secondarily, I need to educate and train the people who have just sat on stumps and watched it happen and lived through it and dodge bullets and step over homeless people. These are all Democrat areas. They can't look at this. They can't even understand this because they know it's true. Since the mid-1960s, visible signs of disorder are everywhere. And then, of course, you take some of the things that cause the problem. The problem. What is the problem? Well, they had a really strong initiative in tearing apart the nuclear family. Oh, it was devious. They knew exactly what they're doing. They still know what they're doing. Let's destroy the nucleus of a family. Check. Let's get Christianity and get them to stop praying. Check. Stop praying means you accept helplessness. Check. Let's get the fathers out of the homes. Check. Let's send them into schools that basically are daycare centers until the time they're 18 or 19, and then we turn them back out and they don't know what the hell they did for the last 15 years. Check. Crime continues to run wild. Why didn't we fix that? Check. You see, this wasn't by accident, because everything I just said, if you're thinking, you know, the only way that could have happened was the intentional plan that the Democrats had. And they sprinkled in some other stuff there. Hey, let's go ahead and show them how they can have wanton sex and never have to worry about it. And if by chance they hit the lottery and have get pregnant, we can show them how to dispose of that so that they can continue doing the behavior that's going to continue keeping them where they are. But don't worry, we got some food stamps for you. Oh, these Democrats were so good to the black people, so good to the inner city, that they've spent gazillions, trillions of your dollars keeping this scam going. When Hakeem Jeffries got up and talked today, he's like, affirmative action, we got DEI. Yeah, because we have 60 years of it not working. How many times do you have to do something before you realize, hey, man, this ain't working. I can't continue this. But the Democrats keep that playbook on the top of their charts. Right there on the top of the desk. We got to keep this up. We got to make sure they're not praying. We got to make sure that they're getting pregnant. We got to make sure that there's no dad around. Let's even make it romantic and call fatherless children baby daddy, mama daddy, all that kind of crap. They romanticized it with music. All for the intention of keeping these people right where they are. It's been devious, and today they realize the whole thing just came crumbling down. The whole idea of their broken window theory that they've been executing for decades finally crashed and burned today. And you were never supposed to know about the broken window theory. You were never supposed to know about Margaret Sanger. You were never supposed to, at least the people that they govern weren't supposed to know. Keep them ignorant. Keep them in the broken window neighborhoods.
According to the theory, once we see a neighborhood that looks like no one cares, it's easier for us to believe that anything goes. The story of the broken windows theory actually starts back in 1969 with a bold experiment by psychologist Philip Zimbardo, who you might know from his infamous Stanford prison experiment. But before he got into studying prisons, Zimbardo wanted to understand how the environment affects our behavior when it comes to crime and vandalism. He parked two cars in different neighborhoods, one in the rough and tumble streets of the South Bronx in New York City, and the other in the quiet, upscale community of Palo Alto, California. The car in the Bronx didn't stand a chance. It was stripped and vandalized within hours. Meanwhile, the car in Palo Alto sat there untouched for a week, a lonely but intact testament to the neighborhood's sense of order.
See, that to me, when I heard this, I went, that is so true. Somebody could park their car overnight in front of our house. That car will be there tomorrow morning. People will park out in front of your house. More than likely, that car will be there tomorrow morning. You put that in certain areas of the hood, and that car might just be up on jacks or cinder blocks tomorrow morning. Anybody ever wonder why? Why is it that we can live and put our heads down, and unless there's somebody who's going to burglarize us or try to get over the gate or whatever, there's not much going to happen here? Yet, you know full well, if you drove downtown and got into one of those hood-like addresses, you know damn well that car is going to get messed up. Why? Because the broken window begets the more broken windows, and it just keeps perpetuating.
Then Zimbardo did something curious. He smashed a window on the car in Palo Alto himself. Almost instantly, that quiet, safe neighborhood changed. People who might never have thought about vandalizing before began to take part in the destruction.
What he just described is a learned opportunity. Nobody broke any windows in this neighborhood, so let me go over and break it intentionally to see what happens. And so people saw the broken window on the car. They're driving by, they're walking by, and then people started thinking, so this is one of those neighborhoods. This is one of those neighborhoods where nobody gives a crap. And so let me break a couple more because nothing's going to happen. And then the spiral begins.
His conclusion? Disorder invites chaos. When people see signs that nobody cares, they stop caring too.
Biggest one there. Biggest thing. When people see signs that nobody cares, they stop caring as well. When you're living in the hood and you see nobody cares about us, why should I? Why should I even care about this neighborhood? And there's some people who get themselves out of it. And it just pains me to even show this to you because for the most part, this is in the Black community. In the Italian community, they take care of themselves. The Korean diaspora, they try to take care of themselves. The Irish try to take care of themselves. Even if people don't have money, but hey, don't break that window. Don't do this stuff here. But why did they leave it in the Black community to let it go rampantly wild? Because it's by design. They can't win unless they perpetuate this, unless they perpetuate hopelessness. Can you imagine right now, whatever your situation is, are you hopeless? You may be wanting. You may be ambitious. You may be hoping. How many people can raise their hand and say, I'm absolutely hopeless? Well, if you do, you probably live in a broken window type neighborhood. They have permeated this. They have kept it going on purpose. The Democrats are evil, 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 evil. Because this stuff here, as you're watching it, hopefully it's starting to sink in, and there's no argument against it. See, that's the problem. If I was sitting here talking to a liberal, there is no, they probably insult me or say something, but they can't argue the facts. Why is it for 60 years the same area in town is the same freaking hood? Well, there's no educational opportunities. We spent $1 trillion. Well, there's no jobs. We spent $1 trillion. And by the way, the companies are leaving because they can't take all the crime. Next. And even if that was the case, maybe that happened in 5 years. Why is it that certain neighborhoods of certain towns have been this way for 20, 30, 40 years? Democrats and run by your people. Tell me that. They cannot answer it. And so now on X, they go all out of their way to call you stupid, maggot. You got Trump's, nuts on your face, everything else. But when you, okay, so why is it still that way? Why are certain areas of towns this way? There's no answer because they all know it's true. It's on purpose because it is a purpose. They need a dependent, angry, yet loyal voting bloc, which is the most stunning part of the whole thing. How could you be loyal if you're friggin' angry because you're hopeless? Why are you putting your vote? Why are you putting your trust into people who for 30 and 40 years have proven you can't trust them? What kind of mind F is that? The only thing of value you have to a Democrat is your vote. That's it. They don't care about you. That's why it's the broken window theory. They don't care. You know they don't care. But for some reason, every 2 to 4 years, you keep voting for them. That's not progress. You can go back to 1965 when Lyndon B. Johnson signed in the Voting Rights Act. How has that changed the hood? They can't answer these questions. Tell me what you've done for the people who live in your communities. It's not important. Even, what's his name? I think it was Daniel Monahan. Even a liberal Democrat warned them that the black family was crumbling back then. Did you know that? Only 24% of black babies were born out of wedlock in 1965. 24%. Still not good, but it was 24%. 66% of black people lived in two-parent homes. Shocking. Then came the Great Society, the war on poverty. The Democrats came over and said, hey, we're going to fix this. So they turned the entire community into a welfare state and used welfare as a father replacement program. No man in the house. Here's your check. Here's your food stamps. What's the result of that? I just told you, back in 65, 24% of black babies were born out of wedlock. 24. In a scant few decades, it's at 73%. They call themselves the Progressive Party, and all they've done is regress. How do you go from a 24% baby out of wedlock to a 73%? 50% the wrong way. How the hell, how's that happen? Only about 40% still live in two-parent homes. That's going backwards. You're not a progressive party. You are a regressive party. That is a social disaster. Nobody ever asked them. Why are 73% of the women here having babies with no daddies? 73%. That's not normal. Why are there no daddies? What happened to the black family? Why is everybody in the hood either on some form of welfare or dependency or why? Why are they all just leeches? Not of their own doing. Well, I guess you could say of their own doing because they've accepted it. Because they don't care, because you don't care. That broken window in those communities was left unrepaired.
Wilson and Kelling picked up on Zimbardo's findings and took them further. In their famous 1982 article, Broken Windows, the Police and Neighborhood Safety, they argued that crime is like a chain reaction. If one window gets broken and isn't fixed, the message sent out is that nobody's in charge and anything goes, so that one act of vandalism can snowball into bigger problems like drug dealing, assaults, and worse.
So if they made this theory, and they came up with this way back, and it's a well-known theory in psychology that if you don't fix the problem's going to continue. And it's not just crime. You know it for sure yourself. If you keep smoking, you might get sick. If you keep eating sweets, you might get sick. If you don't fix what you're doing, you're going to put yourself in peril. And you decided intentionally to put an entire species of humans in peril. You chose not to repair them. You promise everything every 2 and 4 years, but you don't do anything. And the disorder just keeps spreading. You know crime has exploded in Democrat cities. You know that fathers are absent. You know young men with no guidance are growing up and can't read. You know schools are dumbing people down, and so do they. Like the woman was saying, we all see the same polls. Maybe not these polls, honey. We keep seeing the data on Johnny can't read and Cherie got 8 babies by different baby daddies. How is that acceptable? How is that okay? How do we continue to trade votes for free stuff? You didn't fix anything then. You're not going to fix anything now. You're not going to fix anything in the future. You essentially boarded up the community with the people inside the buildings. And let me just put y'all in there because, we'll throw you some EBT cards and vote for me. That's their slogan. Oh, the white man that you ain't seen over here in probably 20 years. But that white guy that you don't know, he's the one that's keeping you here. Vote for me.
The key idea here was simple but powerful. If we crack down on the little things, graffiti, littering, public drinking, we might just stop the bigger crimes from happening at all. It was a call for a different kind of policing, one that focused on maintaining order before the chaos took over.
There's a great analogy. How about we take care of things before the chaos just spreads? Instead of blame Whitey and we'll send you some more checks. They took black voters they take black voters for granted. 80 to 90%, 80 to 90+% of black voters vote Democrat. And it's been that way for decades. Can you imagine voting for the people keeping you in the hood? Just think about that. It's like orcs. They just march to the polls, do what they're told, maybe for $5 or a fix. Just go ahead and vote for the Democrat, and guess what? 2 years from now, you'll be back doing the exact same thing. What did you get in return? Failing schools, open-air drug markets, gangs in the streets, generation after generation living through the same stuff. Insanity. Trapped on that Democrat plantation. A trap of their own minds. They stay there themselves. The solution the Democrats offer? Pandering. Racial grievance. It's white people's fault. Let's gerrymander these districts so you guys are forever locked in here. Today when people were talking about the districts being redrawn and everything, you had to realize what they were doing, why they're freaking out is they had it perfect. We put a circle around this area and these people will never look out. They will never look over the hedge. Let's pack all these black voters into these broken window neighborhoods and we'll get seats that'll be safe forever. These politicians never had to deliver anything. It was the perfect scheme, the perfect plan. And nobody for 60 years until Donald Trump gets into office has ever thought to challenge this stuff, which should make you wonder as well. We had a black president. Why didn't he change this? That's another question for liberals. I understand you can't do it yourself. You would need the help of the president. Did you guys ever go see George Bush? Did you ever talk to Kamala and Joe Biden? No. You just wanted it to stay that way? So you're complicit? Because you never had to compete for those votes. You see, if you heard some of these people talk today, and I'm going to show you some more, that's what they're concerned about. Now they have to compete for these votes. They can no longer just say it's the white man's fault. It's Trump's fault. They can't yell, oh, it's systemic racism. What a clown phrase that is. They can't do all that and keep the votes coming. But now, real conservatives who know the fix, prayer, strong families, real education, and job training, along with personal accountability and law and order. And all of a sudden, that broken windows policing will actually work in these communities. And how do I know it? Because it's already been done.
Fast forward to the 1990s, when New York City was struggling with high crime rates. Enter Mayor Rudy Giuliani and Police Commissioner William Bratton, who embraced the broken windows approach with open arms. They launched a crackdown on minor offences like subway fare evasion, public urination and graffiti.
I like how they call them minor offenses. Well, Rudy wasn't putting up with it. Rudy came in with a giant hammer, which of course is racist, because he's cleaning up the broken windows, getting rid of the hookers, getting rid of the homeless. I grew up in Connecticut. I used to go into New York. As a big guy, I'm like, okay, I'm looking around, making sure nobody's jumping out behind one of the alleys. And then I just remember one day going there and going, wow, what happened? How did this get cleaned up so well? It just took Rudy Giuliani. Fast forward, I don't know, 30 years? What just happened in Washington, D.C. that the media has completely stopped talking about? No gangs, no shoot-'em-ups. It stopped. President Trump, who lived in New York, didn't do something novel. Everybody thought, oh, Trump did. No, he knew what Rudy did in New York. How did he know? That's where he's from. He's like, I watched them clean up New York City. I made billions in New York City once they cleaned up this hellhole. So let me do the same thing to Washington. And what did the Democrats immediately do? Oh, no, you're not going to stop crime. You're not going to fix the broken windows. Oh, my gosh. Why? It's racist. Excuse me. And then what did they do most recently? They defunded the police in 2020, and now the Democrats are trying to defund ICE and everything else. They want chaos. Rudy did it. And then when they went in, after Rudy got out, what happened with de Blasio and then what's her name? Eric Adams? Crime spiked again. More broken windows, more neglect. And here we are, April 29th, 2026, and the Supreme Court dropped a bomb with a 6-3 decision saying you can't do it anymore.
Their goal? To send a clear signal that no crime was too small to matter. And at first it seemed to work. Crime rates in New York City dropped dramatically, and the city started to feel safer. People credited the broken window strategy for turning things around.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. People credited the broken windows strategy for turning the city around. If you remember, Rudy Giuliani was a Republican, still is. And so the Democrats found themselves staring into an abyss. Hey man, we can't count on these people voting for us because They won't like what we're doing. And so they went back to the playbook. Let's instill in them that it's racist. You can't frisk, what is it called? Stop and frisk. You can't do any of that stuff. That's racist. And then you know what happened.
And it became a policing philosophy adopted by cities around the world. But, as with many things in life, the story wasn't so black and white. Critics pointed out that crime rates were falling all over the United States during the same period, even in places that didn't use the broken windows approach. Some argued that other factors like economic growth or demographic changes played a bigger role in reducing crime.
Everything they get their hands on turns, as Trump said, to crap. Everything they try to do to retweak something to get it back to the way it is or was. They don't want people living in harmony. They don't want people living comfortably. Comfort is the antithesis to the Democrat ideology. Comfort means you might get prosperous. Comfort might mean you might have the dad back in the home. Comfort is, you might go to church. We can't have any of that. Oh, what do you mean there's no prostitutes? We're the homeless. We're the drug dealers. They treated black people like checkers on a board. No more. That can't happen anymore.
Even more troubling, research started to show that focusing on minor crimes led to a rise in aggressive policing tactics that disproportionately targeted marginalized communities.
All right, raise your hand if you had ever heard of the word marginalized and disenfranchised before this crap started. Those are code words that the Democrats have used to reinstitute chaos. It's marginalizing people. They're disenfranchised because there's no crime.
The critics claimed that while the streets might have looked cleaner, the human cost of this approach was too high. Racial profiling, mass incarceration, and a growing distrust between police and communities became part of the legacy of broken windows policing. So does the broken windows theory still hold up? Today, the debate continues. Some studies suggest that while fixing broken windows and addressing minor disorders might make people feel safer, it doesn't necessarily prevent serious crimes from happening. In other words, it's not just about sweeping the streets clean, it's about understanding the deeper social issues that lead to crime in the first place. The broken windows theory has shaped policing policies for decades, but its legacy is a mixed one. While it has led to increased attention on maintaining urban order, it has also faced criticism for its role in promoting aggressive policing tactics that disproportionately impact vulnerable communities.
Vulnerable communities. And that's how the whole theory went down the drain. They were able to tell people that although it cleaned up the neighborhood, it had a human cost. It was too much for us to do in these neighborhoods, clean things up. It's because it's not necessarily about being in a clean community. It's about, all of us getting together and not being marginalized. So if you got to live next to the hookers and if you got to live next to drug dealers, they need a place to live too. And so they fight it. They fight everything about fixing things with the broken window theory. Now that's an analogy that I'm putting against, what the broken window theory really is. But to me, and having lived and seen so many inner city black communities still fester for decades, I know it to be true. You know it to be true. And then President Trump, he comes into office and he's, doubling his support among black voters. Why? Because you remember what President Trump said? You remember what President Trump said and he pissed everybody off? Think about it for a second. What was it that President Trump said to people on the campaign trail and it pissed off the Democrats? It was a very, very short campaign promise. What the hell do you have to lose? I knew when he said it, I was like, oh boy, they're going to come for you. They're finna come for you, man. And it was so true because it caused people to have just a moment of introspection. It's been 1965 since you've been climbing over drug dealers, getting past hookers, going past used condoms, seeing people beat up, seeing people shot. What the hell do you have to lose? And many black people went, huh? Because that stood them in the face. Look yourself in the mirror, and before you vote Democrat again, I just want you to ask yourself one question. What the hell do you have to lose? And of course, his number spiked. Democrats can't have that. Black people, like Asians, like whites, like Native Americans, nobody likes being taken for granted. Nobody just wants to think that they don't matter, that people don't care. Everybody wants real results until you beat the results desire out of them. And you put them back in the hood and say, this is how your life's going to be. We'll get you your free stuff, and shut up. Until he gets back on stage, this is going to continue. Now he's got a great chance to go back. If you're listening, President Trump, you need to tell them again. The answer is simple. Real education, not victimhood. Strong families, not welfare. No incentives. Do what you're supposed to do, get paid for what you do. Law and order, not defund the police. Jobs and opportunity, not handouts. Reject the gangster culture. Go to church. Celebrate achievement. The Democrats had 60 years, and now we know how they were doing it with all this crazy redistricting, and now they can't do it anymore. So it's a perfect opportunity, not just for President Trump. Each one of you can now tell these people the windows are broken where you live because they want the windows broken where you live. They haven't come. There's nobody come and cleaning it up. You don't have to live like this. It bothers me that I'm just talking about black people right now, but this Supreme Court ruling and their reaction tells you they're freaking out. You don't have to live with broken windows. And bottom line is, you just have to say to yourself as an American, what the hell do you have to lose? Just start asking yourself that question again. You guys need to begin asking other people, what the hell do you have to lose? The American dream didn't die. They just won't let you sleep. I thought of that myself. The American dream isn't dead, but you just can't dream. They won't let you relax. You hear the sirens and bullets and wondering if somebody's coming through the back door. You don't get any REM. You don't get no REM. You're terrified. And so you can't even think about the American dream because you're wondering, are you going to make it till the weekend? Is my child going to make it through the weekend? See, that's the choice. The left wants victims. We want success. The left wants to give handouts. We want people to see prosperity. And the more people are choosing success every single day, because the truth, as the Bible says, will set you free. And the left hates that. So at this point, you guys you could easily ask people on the left, what the hell do you have to lose? Sorry if that ran a little bit long, but I really wanted to hit that at home today. I'll be back in a bit.
back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I saw you typing, and I'm like, he's over there. He's looking up the broken window, Barry.
I looked it up a little bit later, but I did take a peek. Oh, man. Maximum screeching. Everywhere, all the time.
They can't.
That's maximum screeching.
They can't take it. Oh, my goodness, they can't take it. It's absolutely
Oh,
crazy.
man, that's a hard act to follow, Barry. People asked to clip it, so you might want to clip that for your viewers.
Okay.
Saw a bunch of comments. Yeah,
I shall. I'll put that up tomorrow so people can see it. because
right.
I saw that this afternoon, and I'm thinking to myself, are people ready? I mean, it just gelled for me, and I don't know, maybe because I've had so many black friends and buddies, and I've literally, if I flew to Connecticut right now, I could drive to the ghetto. It's still sitting there, and I'm sure there's generations of kids and people like, man, I remember when your brother was here. Where's your brother? Oh, he's in jail, man. Oh, okay, figured that. Where's your mom? She's in jail. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I can't believe you were such a hoodlum, throwing rocks at windows and stuff. Wow.
I fancied myself a little hoodlum, and but wasn't too much little about it. But I told you earlier, I got home. Mom's like, "Where were you?" We were down in down the street down there. And where'd you ride your bike to? Number one, where'd you go? You weren't supposed to be over there. What were you doing? And I'm like, damn, she knows.
They always know. They always know. They have an internal automatic connection.
You remember you remember Kreskin? Are you old enough to remember Kreskin? My mom was Kreskin. She could just like I know what you were doing. Back then, like Jimmy, what's his name? Jimmy Buffett's fans called it the coconut telegraph. Well, we had the slipper telegraph because all your moms knew what the heck was going on. I mean, I remember my dad going, "She's waiting for you. Can't you do something?" Oh, my God.
Well, Barry, sometimes I feel like Ed McMahon on here. You're correct, sir. I have the last envelope because I need to start reading your mind a little bit more. Other people say I look like Michael Keaton. I'm Bruce Willis with a smirk. I mean, yeah, I actually played Batman, the first one. Who are you anyway? I'm Batman. Tell your friends about me.
So what's going on?
Anyway, I do have some real stuff here. Yes.
Are they just screaming and screaming, more screaming 24/7? What do you got?
I'm going past that. This is something from the U.S. Department of Justice. So they put out a post about 2 hours ago that at DOJ fraud DIV. Actually, Barry, if you could put it up on your screen because I sent it to you on the X, so we show the link. It should be in your messages. Anyway, so the DOJ fraud division is going live tomorrow, and they say give them a follow and be on the lookout for a major announcement tomorrow. And I'll read out the link again. It's at DOJ fraud DIV. Do you see it? Oh, you're muted.
I got to change your mic real quick. Hold on. And because when I put the tweet up, your mic will go away. So give me a second here.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. You can say something. Are you still down? Hold on. I can't get you. No, I can't. I'm gonna have to show it. I'm gonna have to show it. It locks you out when something else is in there. So I'll show it in a second.
All right. Well, once again, folks.
Hold on. Let me show it so everybody can see it real quick here. It says the DOJ fraud division is now on X. So now they have a whole different profile. Give them a follow and be on the lookout for a major announcement tomorrow. So if I go to DOJ fraud, it's the same post. It's the only they've put up one post since so they just started this. So it looks like it's going to be specifically about the fraud that
yes,
they're going to be disclosing, and probably because of what J.D. Vance and that team, everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I heard today that Tim Waltz might be taking a perp walk. That would be shocking.
Yeah. It's gonna be heating up in the next couple of days. That's with all the stuff that Shirley's working on, and the AG he's working on, the fraud, all the stuff, all the stuff they're discovering in California. So I have a feeling that account is going to get rather busy in the next couple of weeks, months.
It's coming. It's happening. It's
Yes,
actually happening.
yeah,
Everybody who waited
yes.
and wondered, watch it pick up. At this point, it's building momentum. Now, I don't know if you heard this story. Everybody, if you haven't, I'll break it to you. The DOJ is not they're uncovering every stone against Comey. I saw a story today. I don't know if you saw it, SV, where they are now going to try and seize his book revenue.
I'm looking at it right now. I was going to discuss that, but you
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
No, it's all good.
Go ahead. I don't have it up. So go ahead. Describe it.
Dead fair. This is what happens when you have two great minds thinking alike. So that's, it's awesome. Anyway, breaking. The DOJ is now pushing to seize James Comey's profits from his crime book, as prosecutors believe part of the reason he posted a threat on President Trump's life was to drum up book sales. DOJ is going hard after this guy. So yeah, Barry, if you have anything extra to add to that?
No, but I'll just go back to what I said earlier in today's show. If people are sitting around thinking that the indictment that they worked on for a year was only because of a Instagram post, you're out of your mind. You're completely out of your mind. And they're not telling anybody anything, and the media is going, it's just an Instagram post. Hold on, wait till you see what comes out. And by the way, I did have something I wanted to show people, because another, give me a second, let me pull this up. Another bunch of BS that the media was putting out there. I don't know if you guys know this. Over and over and over, you kept hearing them say that James Comey's other indictment got thrown out because they couldn't make it stick. I want to find this post. Hold on, give me a second. I'm scrolling. I saved so many. I saved so many posts that when I'm not ready, I have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to get to it. But here, talk about Savannah's deal, that the guy who tried to beat her up while I look for this. All right.
Well, actually, I have something. I have some prosperity news from Trump. He posted earlier on his True Social that Intel stocks continue to rise. I'm very proud of the company in that I am responsible for making the United States of America over $30 billion in the last 90 days on that stock alone. There are others that likewise I have been very successful with by taking pieces of the equity for support. Congratulations to Intel on doing such a great job. And more importantly, congratulations to the people of the United States for making such a good investment, President Donald J. Trump. So there's some good news there, more prosperity.
Absolutely. It's going to take me too long to find it, but basically I can just tell you, summary-wise, the previous indictment did not get thrown out of court because there was no evidence. It did not get thrown out of court because they couldn't bring a charge. If you remember back, because again, the Democrats hope that you don't have a memory, they threw it out because they said Lindsay, who was the new prosecutor, they said she was not appointed correctly. And that's what they did. It had nothing to do with the merits of the case. It had nothing to do with evidence. They threw it out because they said Lindsay didn't have the true appointment to even bring the charge. And so the media has been lying every single, last 2 days. Oh, they threw it out of court. Why did they throw it out of court? Oh, that's right, because they didn't like the attorney. That's it. And so, all the different things. I'll show everybody this thing about the book seizure.
Nothing surprised me, but Comey's definitely, it's like we have the elephant's trunk right now. It's just more of it's coming, right?
Yeah.
It's coming and coming.
In the worst case scenario, he has to spend money. I mean, because I'm going to show you some of that as I move forward. I got some stuff.
Look forward to it.
All right. Thank you. This was what I was talking about. It says, huge FAFO. The Trump DOJ is now moving to seize James Comey's book sale profits he got while threatening President Trump's life on social media. They sent out a forfeiture notice. The 8647 post was put up just before he launched the new book. That's what I'm talking about. With full, what's it say here? Full accountability, seize it all. The DOJ's notice would take effect if and when Comey is convicted. Comey is panicked. So they automatically don't get the money, but they let him know we're coming for your money as well. Which, remember, I'm going to tell you about it in a little while because you're going to hear some more. All right, let me continue with tonight and some of the craziness that's happened since the Supreme Court decision came out.
The decision by the Supreme Court today on the Voting Rights Act is an abomination. It is an attack on a crown jewel of our democracy. Illinois is the proud home to having sent more black congresspeople to Washington than any other state in the country.
I don't care. You? Anybody care? Why is that a feather in your cap per se? Why does anybody care how many black people you sent to Congress? It's 2026, bro. We see what's in Congress. We see Jasmine Crockett. We see some of these nut jobs. Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib. I don't know if that's something you want to beat your chest about.
And the Voting Rights Act is an attack on black and brown people, on people of color, on minorities. The decision that was made today, rather by SCOTUS about the Voting Rights Act, is an attack on minorities across this country.
Yeah, nobody told me. I'm sorry. I marked myself safe from the Voting Rights Act. How is it an attack? Again, nobody asked the question. How is it an attack on black and brown people? But somehow Asians, Native Americans, and white people are unscathed. You made it about race when you started drawing your little boxes. Nobody else drew the little box and said, hey, let's make sure we get all the blackies all right in here. You did that. You determined it to be racial. That's why today it got smacked down. You can't draw those boxes based on race. It's not an attack on the voting rights. It basically underscores the voting rights. It says, don't take advantage of me because my skin is a different color than somebody else's. I want the same opportunity. I want the same ability and accountability as anybody else. Why do I have to vote for this person just because my skin color?
We're not going to stand for it in Illinois. We're going to push back. We have options for pushing back, and that is under discussion with the legislature even today. I talked to lawyers this morning, people who are experts in this, who've said that everything that we have in Illinois now is constitutional, even under the new ruling. So I'm sure there will be people who try to attack it, but the reality is that if you read through the Supreme Court decision, I'm told that it validates the maps that are already in place. And of course, we'll be looking at a new remap in Illinois in 2031.
They can't accept it. Oh God, we cannot let these black people off the plantation. We need to permanently keep them in this box. Don't you hear that? Don't you hear them say we got to keep fighting? For what? Let them vote. Let them vote how they want to vote, where they want to vote. Why put them in a box and say this is all you got to do? That's because they cheat.
To CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig. Ellie, how sweeping is this decision, and could it impact this year's midterms?
For sure, Manu. I think it certainly will. So the core bottom line holding of the Supreme Court today is that it is unconstitutional for states to draw congressional maps with the intent to create majority black or majority other racial minority districts. Now, there's a little bit of history that's relevant here to understand what happened. Louisiana has 6 congressional districts in the U.S. House. And after the 2020 election, Louisiana first drew a map that had 1 majority black district. By the way, the total population of Louisiana is about 1/3 black. Now, that was challenged and found to violate the Voting Rights Act because it did not adequately represent the black population of the state. Louisiana then went back to the drawing board. They came up with a new map that had 2 majority black districts. That was then challenged and went all the way up to the Supreme Court today. And the Supreme Court said that 2-district map is unconstitutional because it discriminates on the basis of race. Now,
Can you believe we're having this discussion in 2026? I mean, can you seriously think Wow, I never never knew that the people who said they were against racism are actually the ones boxing people in because of their race. That has got to be, I hope there are black people watching this and going, wait a second. So the court said you can't do this because it's racist. They have decided it's racist. And these people are fighting to keep the racism in place while they get on stage and say they're all against racism. That make any sense to anybody?
Read you sort of the key holdings today. This was a 6-3 opinion with the 6 conservatives striking down Louisiana's 2-district map and the 3 liberals dissenting. Now, the majority opinion was written by Justice Alito. Here's something that he wrote in the opinion. He wrote that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act was designed to enforce the Constitution, not collide with it. Unfortunately, the lower courts have sometimes applied this court's precedents in a way that forces states to engage in the very race-based discrimination that the Constitution forbids.
All right, now break that down. As you look at that on the screen, what he actually just said is what you see what he read. You tried to say it was racist, and to counteract racism, you did racist stuff. How? If you can't be a racist, then you can't draw a map that's racist. It's very simple. Why did you want to trap all the black people in one area? Well, we know why. They don't care about the people. It was going to be something where they were able to keep people to vote for them and keep them voting. And so now they're all claiming Jim Crow and everything. You drew the racist map to begin with. That's the core of this entire argument.
The Voting Rights Act, if it collides with the anti-discrimination provisions in the Constitution wins out. You cannot discriminate on the basis of race. In dissent, Justice Kagan wrote this. She wrote, I dissent then from the latest chapter in the majority's now completed demolition of the Voting Rights Act. I dissent because the court's decision will set back the foundational right Congress granted of racial equality in electoral opportunity. So Justice Kagan and the
if it's racial equality that you want, why are you drawing boxes just for black people? You would think I want you to vote the same way everybody else does. Matter of fact, why do we even have districts? Have anybody thought about that? How about the fact you let people vote for the candidates, wherever they may be, and the top 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on your state, they get to go to Washington? Why do we have, are the black people over here subject to something different than black people over there? We're all Americans, right?
Centers are saying Congress passed the Voting Rights Act. That was intended to protect the rights and the voice of minority voters, and now we are disregarding that. With respect to other states, Manu, we've already seen Florida and Mississippi take steps to try to redraw their maps to eliminate some of these majority black districts, which will almost certainly have the effect of swinging seats over from Democratic toward Republican leaning.
Yeah, and it could maybe help the Florida Republicans if that effort is challenged in court, it seems. Ellie, separately, we're waiting for yet another ruling, this one from the Virginia Supreme Court, this over the Democratic effort to give them up to 4 seats in that state on their redistricting plan. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, this one's moving quickly. The Virginia Supreme Court heard oral arguments just on Monday, just a couple days after the referendum passed. And this is the referendum that redrew Virginia's districts, congressional districts, to essentially have 10 of the 11 be Democratic leaning, Democratic favoring. If you look at the Supreme Court arguments in the Virginia Supreme Court Monday, it seems like the justices have a problem with the procedure behind this map. Basically, to make a long story short, Virginia was supposed to wait 90 days between passage of the law and beginning to vote on the referendum. They did not wait those 90 days. So the justices of the Virginia Supreme Court seem to voice real concern with the procedures behind this referendum. We should get a ruling fairly soon, but don't be surprised if the Virginia Supreme Court strikes down that 10-to-1 redistricted.
That's what I was telling you earlier. There's nothing on the horizon good for the Democrats. It's just one thing after the other. Now, here's the funny thing is, how long is it going to take for them to do it? Because I'm sure they're counting their watches and they're like, wait a second, okay, November's coming up real quick. And how long is it going to take us to have another referendum election? By the way, That last referendum election, the question you asked may have tilted the vote because you asked a very stupid question and it was still this close. So there's nothing to say that they're going to get that done either. These people are crazy. They're running out of options. And I don't know if it was Trump who timed everything perfectly, but now we're going to see an acceleration of things. Comey got indicted. We're told that that's not going to be the last indictment. SV just showed you the Department of Justice said, watch out for what's coming tomorrow. Oh, man, I can't take it. Give me some more.
Map and makes Virginia go back and do it again.
Yeah, that would be a huge blow for Democrats' efforts to take back the House. We'll see if that ultimately pans out there the way that it could, that you're suggesting might. Ellie Honig, we're really grateful for your expertise. Thank you so much.
So I got to ask you a question. I think every one of you already knows the answer at this point. With everything you're seeing, the redistricting, the Supreme Court, the Virginia Supreme Court, Comey being arrested, all this stuff, and it's April 29th. We don't even know what tomorrow brings. Why don't we just tell all the pollsters, just shut up. Don't want to hear it. Things are changing so fast. Whatever you had to say last week don't matter right now. And whatever you say tomorrow doesn't matter because you don't know what's going to happen next week. Almost every single person on television has an opinion. And that opinion has almost been like 90% as if this Iranian thing is shut down in favor of how Trump wants it shut down. Everybody's going to be fine by the time November comes. And so how can anybody, and I do mean even the most, prestigious of pollers, Gallup, Reuters, how the hell can you run a poll when you literally don't know what's going to happen tomorrow? They come out and they arrest Tim Walz and find out he was getting money. He hid $20 million. Kiss Minnesota goodbye. We don't even know what's coming. Every single day, I wake up in the morning, I hit Twitter, I hit CNBC, and I'm checking different things, and I'm like, I don't know what. I wake up with anticipation. All right, let me go ahead and click the button. Oh boy, and see what happens. Can you imagine somebody calling you and say, so a scale from 1 to 10, how do you feel about this? You mean today? You going to call me back tomorrow? Because it's going to change.
And it matters for Donald Trump's own agenda in terms of diminishing the ability to vote and go to the polls. Here's what has happened. At issue was a Louisiana district where the power of black voters had been diluted because of the way a map had been drawn. And a lower federal court had ordered a second black majority district to be drawn as a remedy to that vote dilution. Another court had come in and said that that's unconstitutional. And this court today indeed threw out the original map that had given black voters in Louisiana a second district where they could elect a candidate of their choice.
Is it just me or does this whole thing bother you? I mean, does the whole thing just stink? We've had an entire day, which I'm sure will carry on till tomorrow, where everything is about black voters. I'm black. I just wonder how the white people here in the family, how the Spanish people here in the family feel about, why are you discounting everybody else? Why did you just go over and bend over backwards to draw your boxes, to draw maps like that? You got the whole sliver of the state, 250 miles, just so you could trap all those black voters in it. What the hell kind of district is that? From Shreveport to New Orleans. That's one district. 250 miles. I'm pretty sure the people in Jacksonville don't live the same way the people here in Boca do. I have no idea what the people in Jacksonville want or how they live. That's up to them. You decided you're going to make a district where basically the whole state has to think the same way, as long as they're black. Anybody else find this like you want to take a shower? I mean, is this where our government is in 2026? Where everything at this point was predicated on what we do with the blacks. Seriously?
Louisiana's population is about a third African American, and this new plan will mean that only one of its 6 congressional districts would have an African American majority. But this is much larger than just one state. It will affect voting districts across the South, and it also is, as dissenters said, the final piece in a project that this court has had. Justice Alito spoke first, Pam. He has for years been the voice with Chief Justice John Roberts in terms of narrowing the reach of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. He laid out why they were turning back this key section, but he also said, and this is what made it so dramatic in the courtroom, he said, don't listen to what the dissent is about to say. They're going to overblow it. This isn't that big of a deal. We're not.
Pretty much what I said earlier. I don't care what the dissent has to say. I really extra don't care that it's Kagan, Sotomayor, and DEI Jackson. There's nothing I want to hear from them. You're lucky it's only 6-3. Because sometimes you end up getting Amy Coney Barrett and sometimes you end up getting Roberts. So this thing could have gone either way, but it was so egregious. They're like, nah, this ain't going to stand. We can't do this. You're combating racism, you say, by creating racism.
Not reversing precedent. It was, very much doth protesting too much. And when he was finished after 15 minutes, just laying out how the court was thinking that this is a fairer approach, that, you just have to have much more of a race-neutral approach to voting rights. And that has been, as you know, a theme of Chief Justice John Roberts, who famously said in 2007, the way to end race discrimination is to stop discriminating on race.
That's so profound. You want to stop racism? Stop playing racism. Stop playing stupid games. I don't need a separate voting area because I'm black. I mean, it just seems like an antithesis to everything Martin Luther King said. The most famous phrase, as I said earlier, I don't want to be judged by the color of my skin, but the content of my character. The problem is that you guys have ruined the black community's character. There is none. You've made it that way. There's no character. They're having babies at 12 and 73% out of wedlock, and there's no dads in them. There's no character. You destroyed what the man died for, his dream. I have a dream that my kids could be running around with your kids, yet now you don't want your kids running around with their kids. You only want them with other black kids. It's horrible.
But, a lot of people in the country believe you have to take account of race to have a remedy. Then Justice Kagan, sitting right next to Sam Alito, began to speak. And you can see why he tried to sort of preempt what she was going to say, because she said, this Supreme Court agenda, its project to destroy the Voting Rights Act, is now complete. And then she said, this was a law that was paid for literally by the blood of people. And she referred, Pam, to Bloody Sunday back in March of 1965, when marchers were beaten as they were crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And it was only after that incident that LBJ, President Johnson, was able to get the Voting Rights Act through Congress, and it has stood since then.
So if we're going to go back to history, when people bled, how about that? How about that thing they called the revolution, where lots of people died to start this country, and they wrote this thing called the Constitution that now it seems as though you want to be behind in what you need to do these redistricting. A lot of people died during the revolution. A lot of people died when before they wrote that document. What's your point? What's your point? People fought our entire history for America, not just to fight for Irish or Spanish or Hispanic, definitely not just for blacks, for everybody. How can we be having this conversation in 2026? Oh, Barry, you're an Uncle Tom. I just don't understand. Why can't we just pull the lever and everybody vote for who you want to vote for? It's that simple. Why are you people all going into conniptions because now your districts are being redrawn when you keep mentioning the Constitution that you feel is, or unless you're faking it, is the rule of the land?
This Supreme Court has been slowly rolling it back. Justice Kagan just did not mince any words. She was dissenting along with Justices Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson. In the majority, with Sam Alito, were the 5 other conservatives led by the chief, John Roberts, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, Clarence Thomas, and Amy Coney Barrett. And coincidentally, just as an aside, those 6 conservatives were the 6 who were invited to Donald Trump's dinner last night.
She's breaking news. They were all invited to the White House for dinner, coincidentally. And I bet you because they got to eat some steak with King Charles, they voted against the Democrats and the blackies. Excuse me. Have you ever seen what, Clarence Thomas looks like? Just asking. And who knows? Maybe Clarence Thomas had some fried chicken last night. It make you feel better? Wow. Incidentally, they got to eat with the president.
Not with the 3 liberals. And this goes to kind of this larger situation we have. I'm sure you've already had folks on air talking about how many states now are going to go to this opinion and try to redistrict to minimize the chances for blacks to elect a candidate of their choice. But they...
This aired on a national news network. Oh, they're going to try to do everything they can so blacks can't vote for the candidate of their choice. How are they going to do that, honey? Okay, this is a whites-only candidate right here. You can't vote. You are black. You can't vote for them. But I want to vote for this guy. Nope, you got to stay over here. You got to do the blacks-only candidates. You can't vote for the white candidates. And neither of you can vote for the Hispanic candidates. By the way, can I ask you a question? What the hell are you doing in my voting booth? Get out. I'll vote for whoever I want to. I don't need you up in here. These people are lost it, man. I mean...
You can do that now if they just say, well, politically, we're going to offer a race-neutral reason for this.
And today we're... Race neutral. All right, I'll define that. You can vote for whoever the hell you want to, which is how it's supposed to be. We're going to have race neutral stuff. Oh my God, can you believe somebody wanted to go to Chick-fil-A and it was race neutral Tuesday? I was going to go to Olive Garden, but it was race neutral Wednesday.
Ramping up our efforts. We see the need for it just today in today's Supreme Court decision, which was this.
Hey, Chucky? Yeah. What the hell happened to your head, man? I mean, before you're talking about the voting thing here, even the black lady to your left is like, dude, what's on your head? Can you stop the press conference and tell us, did you fall down a flight of stairs or did your wife whoop your ass? I mean, what happened? Why do you got this big ass Band-Aid on your head? We're all inquiring minds like to know. I mean, it's not like a little Band-Aid that you cut yourself shaving. You got a whole thing on your head. It looks like you just got out a yarmulke on your head. What in the hell is that? Nobody wanted to ask that question. Mr. Schumer? Yeah, before we get into the black voting, can you tell us what the hell happened to you? By the way, did anybody ask Jamie Raskin? Jamie, look like one of your eyes aren't working. Did somebody whoop you? What? How did your eye look all blood? You get pain? What is that? And you could tell they put makeup on it so you couldn't see the bruise or something because either he fell down a flight of stairs or somebody whooped his butt. Why is there all the Democrats are showing up all bruised and everything? I don't know. That seems to be a big question for me. I don't know.
Despicable decision that is a return to Jim Crow, taking decades of hard work, sweat, blood, and tears, and even people dying for the right to vote, to prevent racial discrimination in the right to vote. We see what they're doing in the SAVE Act, which would disenfranchise 20 million people. And we are fighting that every step of the way. And as I said today, we're ramping up our efforts.
Okay, wait, just so I can understand. Now, since you mentioned the Save America Act, IDs are racist. Okay, I get it. Okay, IDs are racist. The district where you vote is racist. Racist neutral zones don't work out because it has to be racist, but it's against the Constitution. But this is how we're going to fight racism, by being racist. By telling black people it's too hard for you to get an ID. These people make your head hurt. Oh, I'm sorry, head hurt. That's what happened with Chucky. Maybe he's trying to think too much about it. Oh my good.
I think he had a lobotomy earlier this week.
Hey, look.
Get the rest of the matter.
I'm looking at him like, hey man, you got a whole thing up here. Is it gauze? That ain't normal,
Barry,
bro.
You ever see a dog look at a human like this? Oh, my.
I know people being respectful, but I would have had. I mean, they ask questions if President Trump has a bruise on his hand. Hey, it looks like you go, yeah, I got it from shaking hands. Okay, did somebody shake your head? What is that thing on your head?
I got you. And rat skin, man, it looks like somebody poked him in the eye like a Three Stooges thing.
Oh my gosh!
Certainly.
And no explanation, nothing. But you want to know why President Trump's hands look bruised? I mean, people ask me sometimes, "Are you wrestling with a porcupine or something?" Like, no, my Maltese thinks my arms are chew toys.
Trump looks great for 80, man. He looks. I mean, I hope I look as good as that.
Oh my gosh! All right, so good. You got something?
I have two things. The first thing is this came out about a half hour ago. So I don't know if you heard this. It's an update. The ringleader of Tim Walz's Minnesota Feeding Our Future fraud scandal was exposed for directing her son to leak sensitive materials to the press in a bid to minimize her role in the scheme. She's claiming Tim Walz and AG Keith Allison used Feeding Our Future as a scapegoat intentionally. I mean,
so you're telling me they got a witness? That's what you're telling me.
It sounds like they have one. This is why that fraud hotline is going to be lit up tomorrow, right?
So they squeeze somebody, and this person was Tim Walton, Keith Ellison. Okay, let me go back to Somalia. Don't put me in a jail or anything. Oh my
Banana
God.
and rice. Oh my God.
Can I keep the Escalade? If I can keep the Escalade, I'll give you more. Okay, let me keep the Escalade. Oh my gosh.
Can you believe it? It's the tip of the iceberg. I'm telling you that it's all coming down, man. The house of cards is collapsing like a cheap
SB, if they posted that, it's sort of like the Titanic running into the iceberg. If that's what they're telling you, can you imagine all the stuff below the ice that they're not telling us? They're just, here's a morsel. And so at that point, they're probably watching the airports. They're looking for people getting on Lear jets or something. I mean, it's too late, Tim. They're already watching you. The thing flying around your house right now, Drew, they're already watching you.
When are they gonna Lear, man? When are they gonna Lear?
I mean, you know, I just can't imagine if it's Kash Patel or whoever, and they just are toying with them now, because once you see that pop up, that they got a witness of some sort, you realize at that point you can't call anybody. They're already listening. You can't drive anywhere. There's probably a GPS.
Get rid of all the cash.
There's probably a GPS on your car. Like you said, they're probably watching the bank account. You're toast. You can't move. You are a caged rat at that point.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm going to be refreshing that site like the people, at the casinos hitting the.
Tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! But like I said, Tony Saraguga, who usually gets some good information, he said he got it from a little Tweety bird that said he's about to get perp walked. And everything I've been seeing, even with what JD Vance has said today, seems like there might be something in play for sure. Wow!
Stay tuned, fanfare.
Wow.
Stay tuned.
All right, I'll be back in 90 seconds.
All right.
back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Do you have proof that the former FBI director knowingly and willfully threatened the life of the president?
A grand jury indicted Mr. Comey yesterday. Grand juries hear evidence. That evidence is not something that anybody can talk about today. But when you talk about whether proof exists, the proof that we have is in the fact that the grand jury returned an indictment. Remember, that is not the Department of Justice charging James Comey with a crime. That is a grand jury returning a 2-count indictment.
Let's go ahead and stop there for a second, because a lot of people keep saying the DOJ, Trump, and that's not how it works. The grand jury is 16 to 23 people or so of your peers that look at stuff and they say they decide whether or not an indictment should move forward. So if they've been investigating James Comey for over a year and they got the indictment, by telling you it's because of the Instagram post is only, like I said, the tip of the iceberg. They're not going to tell you everything.
Let's do a compare and contrast, Mr. Blanche. In 2022, someone well known in right-wing circles, Jack Posobiec, posted on X, 8646. He did not take it down. He did not apologize. Mr. Comey has done both of those things. The Biden Justice Department never prosecuted him. By the standard of that grand jury, Jack Posobiec should face charges as well. Will the Justice Department pursue that case? Because they sound very similar.
That's just completely not true. That's not how a grand jury does its work. They don't just look at a single image and then say, okay, yes, we'll indict, or okay, no, we won't indict.
Right there. Right there. Major Griffin, I believe his name is, tried to trap him and said, he posted something too. And Todd was very quick, which I don't think they expected that. I'm like, dude, you think they indicted him because of an Instagram post? That right there, as you just heard it, I'll rewind it so you can hear it again, tells you without any doubt there's more. It's not just the Instagram post, you morons. There's a whole bunch more we got him on. Hold on, I'll let you hear that again so you can hear it for yourself.
It's not how a grand jury does its work. They don't just look at a single image and then say, okay, yes, we'll indict, or okay, no, we won't indict. They do an investigation. This conduct took place in May of last year, May 15th. It has been almost a year. I assure you, the FBI, the Secret Service, and the U.S. Attorney's Office have not been sitting around doing nothing. They have been investigating.
Hold on. Wait a second. So we know it's been a year, but now we know it's the Secret Service, the FBI, the DOJ, and a grand jury have all looked at all these people. You activated all these resources just for an Instagram post? No. That's what he said. But you won't know that in the media. You won't know that from some of the panicans and the grifters. They said that's all he's, that'll never stick. They'll never stick. You can't arrest somebody because of an Instagram post. And Todd Blanche just said it wasn't because of an Instagram post, idiot. We did an investigation. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. He knows what it is. And he just pretty much backhanded him and said, it ain't about a post.
Have no idea whether there was an investigation into the other times that post has been made and whether that investigation yielded different results. This investigation that we undertook resulted in a 2-count indictment. So you cannot compare, well, what happened last time, what happened this time. Every investigation is different. You know that. The American people know that. A lot of factors go into whether somebody should or should not be charged. The mere fact that there's a similar photo posted or a similar statement made, that's true. Every day there's comments made about President Trump, threats made against President Trump. Every one of those are not indicted. It depends on the facts of every case.
Mr. Blanche, you lived this history much more than I did, but I'm going to paraphrase what you said about the hush money case that was brought in New York. You said at the time, supposedly serious people were bringing unserious charges and warping the language and the facts and the law because there was a political imperative beyond that. Are you telling the American people this morning that this is a serious case and this is a serious set of charges, and that laws and facts are not being warped to carry out a political agenda?
Look at the indictment. That's not for me to decide. That's for the American people to decide. And if anybody in this country thinks, especially what happened over the past couple of years with respect to President Trump, that it is okay for anybody to threaten the President of the United States, that it is okay to threaten the President of the United States and then have the media or others say, well, that's not serious, then we have a bigger problem than I even imagined in this country. Of course it's serious when you threaten the President of the United States, and anybody that tries to put forward some narrative that this is just about seashells or something to the contrary is missing the point. You cannot threaten the President of the United States. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision in a law that they passed. And so, yes, of course, this is a serious case.
Mr. Blanche, did the President of the United States in any way direct you to pursue this matter?
Of course not. Absolutely, positively not. And there's no suggestion that that's the case that happened. And the fact that we're doing our work, this is not something that just happened the past couple of weeks. This is something that has been investigated for nearly a year now.
You see, that's the part where they don't. Even the people, the panicans and people on Twitter don't talk about that. You had a years-long investigation with Secret Service, DOJ, FBI, a years-long investigation. It didn't take a year to look at some seashells. Hey, you see this? Yeah, it looks bad. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? No, it had to have other information. See, the media and the left, they don't know what that information is. I had a little back and forth with Kyle Seraphin. Kyle Seraphin, former FBI guy. He's turned, somewhat into an anti-Trumper and everything. But you can still talk. I mean, I can actually have conversations with him. And I said, you can debate whether or not that which you saw visibly is a threat. Anybody can debate that. No, that's not a threat. Okay. But what you can't debate is that there is actually a law that says you can't threaten the president. I will definitely secede to you that it's debatable to talk about whether somebody felt threatened by that. Notice what Caitlin Collins tried to do this afternoon. She tried to do the same thing. Oh, you weren't threatened by that. Yeah, I was kind of threatened. They were hoping he would say he didn't feel a threat. Now we kind of torpedo the whole case. He didn't give that to her. And that's what I told Kyle this afternoon. I'm like, you can debate whether that's a threat or not, but you can't debate the actual law that says you cannot threaten a president.
And the results of that investigation is a grand jury returned an indictment.
Critics of you and this administration, Mr. Blanche, have suggested this is an audition to become the nominee to be Attorney General. Is it?
I don't even know what that means. We work hard every single day. The Department of Justice returns over 100 indictments across this country every single day, making this country safe. And so this narrative, this idea out there that somehow I'm auditioning, I've worked with President Trump for many, many years. I don't audition for this job. I've been the Deputy Attorney General for over a year. Okay, this is not an audition.
And you are confident this case will result in a conviction?
I do not comment on convictions, and no prosecutor ever should. What I'm confident about is that there's been a 2-count indictment returned, and Mr. Comey will get his day in court.
Todd Blanche, Acting Attorney General, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We are in
Well, he tried, but it didn't work.
an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
We also know that there has been investigation ongoing down in Florida around a broad swath of the Russia investigation many years ago, starting back in 2016, an investigation Comey had worked on until Donald Trump fired him as his FBI director. Could it be something related to that?
Okay. So now this lady's trying to draw a parallel. They're still, remember, I keep telling you, there are 2 grand juries here in South Florida. One in Fort Pierce, one in Fort Lauderdale. They're still working. They're working not in cahoots with what happened with Comey. So nobody knows what the ones down here are doing. I heard, I think I've even got a copy of some guy saying, it's just the people in Florida. This was North Carolina and Virginia. This had nothing to do with Florida.
A lot of questions here, but this is going to be a really interesting case moving forward because Comey had been indicted again and had been trying to make arguments in court the last time he faced charges in the fall that he was being singled out for prosecution, that it was very unfair. You're very likely to see something like that again from his legal team. And I did try and reach out to them for more information. I have nothing back at this point on that front. We're still waiting. Boris?
Caitlin, please let us know what you hear from sources. Thank you for that update. Let's bring in National Security Attorney Bradley Moss. Bradley.
This guy. Okay, so as he's talking, you know, these guys are pretty much on staff. They get some money to come on and spew their ideas and what they think. Well, I listened closely to what this guy said, and they should get a refund.
Thanks for being with us. What is your reaction to this news? James Comey indicted for a second time.
If at first you don't succeed, try again, Donald. Eventually you'll get him. You know, look, we're waiting to hear, as Caitlin just noted, where this was even brought and what the charges are. Two of the likely angles that she mentioned there, if they were to try that again, whether it's the perjury issue that was tried in the Eastern District of Virginia, or if it's that photo with the 8647, if they try to bring up some kind of threat against the president, you know, prosecution along those lines, those would be a joke. They're, you know, the pretrial motions write themselves. A third-year law student can get those tossed, let alone the, you know, the top team he'll have defending him. What we don't know, and what will be interesting to see is this the first shot coming out of South Florida?
See, he kind of inferred it earlier, and I'm like, are you going to? Did they really bring somebody on who has no idea what's going on? Barry, what are you talking about? Notice what he said. Is this the first shot coming out of South Florida? So obviously he hasn't read the indictment. He hasn't seen the indictment. He hasn't seen the citation to know it didn't come out of a Florida grand jury, moron. It came out of up there, Virginia, North Carolina. It had nothing to do with Florida. Listen to him. I want you to hear that again because he gives himself away. He doesn't know what happened. They brought this guy on. They paid him to talk on television, and he's never even seen the citation of the case.
Oh, and what will be interesting to see is this the first shot coming out of South Florida, where we know there's this ongoing attempt by Trump allies in the Justice Department to try to bring some sort of.
It has nothing to do with South Florida grand juries. CNN, go get your boy, get your refund. He threw up all over himself, and we all saw it. Has nothing to do with Florida. He didn't even know what he's talking about. He didn't have the right case. It was completely malpractice. Hey, can you come on at about 11:05 and tell us about this Comey thing? Sure, I got you. Okay, I'm ready. Did you look at the case? Did you even look at the citation? You just threw up on yourself and let everybody know you have no clue what you're talking about.
Grand conspiracy charge dating all the way back to 2016 and Crossfire Hurricane and the intelligence community assessment of 2017. They are finally trying to bring that case. It'll be fascinating to see if they are. It's riddled with legal problems. We're waiting to see what the indictment shows, but I am not by any means impressed by this maneuver.
That's because you haven't seen it. That's because you haven't even looked at it and they brought you on television. Next.
Kate, Jim Comey is expected to go back to that federal courthouse where he previously beat a set of criminal charges to face this new indictment.
Lie. Complete lie. He didn't beat charges. Man, when you listen to the media, especially if you know what's going on, if you listen to the media, they lie constantly. He didn't beat crap. It got thrown out because Lindsey Halligan, they said, was not appointed correctly. That's it. That's the only reason why his case didn't go forward before. Not because he beat some charge. She's lying. It's because they threw it out because they didn't like Lindsey Halligan. That's it. Look it up on Grok. If you don't believe me, I always tell people, hey, if you don't believe what Barry says, go say, why did his previous case get thrown out, Grok? Oh, yeah, Lindsey Halligan was disqualified. That's it. He didn't beat crap.
Faces 2 counts. One is for threatening the president, and the other is about transmitting that threat over interstate commerce lines, so posting it on the internet where people all over the nation and the world could see it. This new development this morning is that he is going to be self-surrendering. So the FBI or the U.S. Marshals are not going to pick him up and arrest him. But Comey is expected to be placed under arrest. We're still waiting to hear timing on when he will appear in court. But in this situation, he is going first to the Eastern District of Virginia's federal courthouse to appear before a judge there. That's because he lives in that district, so we expect him to be in that area. But the case itself, it's out in North Carolina, in the court district that covers the beaches there. The judge that will oversee it is a judge that has been on the bench for quite some time, but we'll see exactly how things go today. We know that Comey expects to mount quite a significant defense to this. The Justice Department has said that they took this very seriously as a threat, and this post, 8647 in Seychelles, they looked into for 9 or 10 months. The grand jury approved the indictment. But Comey, he said he never intended any harm.
The reality is...
Oh, I think I have a prediction. I don't have a crystal ball, but I have a prediction. Whatever is happening in South Florida eventually is going to bubble up, and they're going to remove this case in North Carolina, and it's going to be down here. They're going to tie it to something else down here, and they're going to petition the court and say, listen, we're going to move it down here to South Florida. And then Jim Comey and the media are going to lose their crap, because right now it's in front of a Clinton-appointed judge, and it's right there, Virginia, we got this. And watch what happens. I'm going to predict that.
There is a similar zeal to punish you for doing more than exercising your First Amendment rights, for doing your job as the then director of the CIA. What is it like to sort of watch this news come across it's not a wire anymore, but come across our devices?
Well, Nicole, an overused term is appalling. I find it appalling. Jim Comey served as a U.S. Attorney and the Deputy Attorney General for President George W. Bush. He served as the Director of FBI for President Barack Obama. It is absurd to think that Jim Comey would be advocating violence against anyone, much less a President of the United States. I served with Jim Comey during the...
Oh, he was worth the other presidents, and he did a good job, and it's absurd, and it's appalling. You're next, bro. You're next.
Last years of the Obama administration. He is somebody who I think served his country with integrity, with professionalism, and with determination to make sure that the rule of law was going to be followed. And so, as you pointed out, I think there has been a litany of these efforts over the past number of years, past year and a half, by Donald Trump to exact revenge against some of his perceived political adversaries. So I feel very, very dismayed that Jim Comey is going through this and has to go through more of it. I am in that crowd of folks who has been targeted by Donald Trump.
Look at this White House now.
So I wanted you to hear that, because that was Brennan talking about the integrity of James Comey. He's upstanding young man. He's got great integrity. He served under all these presidents. Well, what about James Comey's own words in terms of describing the scumbaggery that he does himself? Are we supposed to just discount and just not remember that he said this?
And it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the same room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. The protocol, 2 men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both.
By the way, in case you're wondering, he's describing how he screwed General Michael Flynn. After Brennan just said he's got so much integrity, Hey, man, how'd you get Flynn? I sent some guys over. We caught him. We got him. He wasn't prepared. We stooped him. Yeah, that's me.
In those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them.
Integrity. What was the lie? What did he say? Integrity. That's what Brennan said. Brennan wants us to pretend we didn't hear that. Yeah, just send some guys over. Yeah, we'll be over there. If it was a different administration, you went there with the intention of trapping him. You just said it. I knew if it was another administration that was a little bit more experienced, not as green as the first Trump administration, I could never get away with it. But I said, hey, it's early. They don't know their way around. Let's screw them. Integrity. He used the words integrity and James Comey in the same sentence.
And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew. No, we didn't tell him. Just said, sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation. My deputy director did, but hope you got a few minutes. You can sit down and talk to them. And he said, sure.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
So here's a little bit more prognostication as I'm putting it in my crystal ball, listening to what James Comey just said. James Comey said, I sent some guys over there. They were new. If it was a different, administration, I probably wouldn't do it. But I said, get the guys, go over there and ask them some questions. I'm going to dial it back to the day before he sent these guys over there. What was your predicate for sending those guys over there? Where did that predicate come from? Who told you, go ask Flynn these questions? How did you know what questions to ask Flynn? What I'm trying to get at is if they finally have dug in and they realize right now that the Obama administration, because of a wiretap or something else, gave the information to Comey, and now Comey decides to go to the White House right after the inauguration and put the cuffs on General Flynn. What were you looking for? Nobody's asked that question. Hey, how you doing? Mike, yeah, we're just going to come over and talk to you for a little bit. Okay. What are you coming for? Who sent you? See, there was a plan, and that's what he just described, and nobody's talking about. He describes and articulates a plan to go after General Flynn. Who hatched that plan? What was that plan? Why were you sitting in an office after the inauguration and going, here's what we're going to do? You see, because that's conspiratorial. What's the predicate? A predicate in law means, what did you have that led you to believe you needed to go investigate him? You just can't, I can't drive up if I'm a cop and just go start asking SB questions in Virginia. There has to be something that has a predicate. There has to be a reason for me to interrogate you. What was the reason that you decided to go talk to General Michael Flynn, and where did you get the information to go ask him questions about it? It's 2026, and that question has never been answered. You're cocky, you're arrogant, you said, we just sent a couple of guys. What the hell were the guys going over there for? You said yourself, General Michael Flynn didn't know why they were going. So who knew why they were going? That's a question that needs to be answered. that's a question that I think they're digging into. This whole thing about the 8647, I just think there's a whole lot that's going to come out. I have thought about that exchange for years, and it never made any sense to me. Not one single time did it say to me, because nobody asked him, well, what were you looking for? Where did you get the information that said, I need to go ask him about this, this, and this? How did you get this information? Where did it come from that allowed you to go look at this, this, and this? That's what I think is going to come out. I'll be right back, and I think I'm going to cut it. We'll see.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham. Breaking news into the Fanfare newsfeed.
I don't know why this man does this. I really don't. I don't know why he does it, but he just puts stuff out there to make these people's heads just go boom. It's the end of the day. It's 10:30 at night, and President Trump decides just, I'm not done yet. Let me just mess with these people's heads just a little bit more. Oh my goodness. President Trump posts that is now called the Strait of Trump. Cue the meltdowns. They can't handle this. The only thing you can't call it is the Trump Strait. They don't like that idea. Trump recently joked with the blockade. It basically is the Strait of Trump. Now, Eric Doherty put it up. He's normally a good source, but even this one's a little edgy. President Trump didn't post that. Even though it says Strait of Trump, President Trump didn't post that. I want to show you exactly what he posted. He reposted somebody else's post. So, it's similar to the same thing, but this handle, Women for Trump, or I Stand with Trump 47, they're the ones who posted it. And then President Trump posted what they posted. Most people won't see the difference in that, but this is the actual post itself. They took it down. I don't know why they took it down, but it ain't there anymore. Anyway, President Trump has now posted about the
It never ends, Barry. You were talking about yesterday how the press, especially the liberal press, needs Trump to keep him relevant. Well, here's something for you. Breaking. I think you might have heard this, maybe not. Amazon is in early discussions to reboot The Apprentice with Don Jr. as a potential host. True story.
A smart move by Amazon. Smart move, because half the country will watch. The other half will trash it. But, the whole premise of it was a good premise. The show was good. Helping people learn how to do business and everything else. There's nothing wrong with that. And, it was a high-rated show for a long time. And so it makes sense that Amazon would have to do that. The only problem I foresee is that the left will attack every single contestant. every single person that signs up to be on The Apprentice, they might as well hold it in Gibraltar on an island somewhere because they'll destroy them. And,
Well, let me do it for you. I don't care. I don't care.
and what's the other part is like, so the person is going to, learn how to do a business or want to do a business afterwards. And it's great. I mean, I interviewed a guy who was on it years ago, and he was a nice guy, and he's turned crazy. But then there's another woman down here. She's in real estate. What's her name? Katrina something. She has a big real estate company here in South Florida, so she's done very, very well. And of course, Gene Simmons has stayed friends with him. Cindy Lauper has gone off the deep end.
Oh my God.
Dee Snider, who was on the show, he was in the camp, and then he jumped off the train. I mean, just
gosh,
I can't even imagine.
You can tell because I texted you earlier. I said, like Raskin's red eye and Chucky's head melting. It's a skin suit. They're actually melting into their true forms. They're becoming the demons they are.
Lizard people.
Man, listen, you got to keep the humor because if you don't, you're going to be depressed. So I always try to make. I love laughter. I love comedy, as you can tell. And I like bringing it to everybody. So hopefully I'm bringing some
everybody
impact.
remembers laughter, don't you?
Exactly.
Right. So
all right, I have one last thing.
Please, go ahead.
So this came out. We love Senator John Kennedy. He just said, here's what I learned from our conflict with Iran. Whether you like him or not, any fair-minded person would have to conclude that President Trump has oranges the size of beach balls.
I tend to agree with that completely. So let me tell you, it's 10:30 at night. So the new schedule for tomorrow is up, and I'm looking to see if there's anything in here. At 11 o'clock, the president and first lady participate in the farewell with King Charles. I'll record that. I won't go live for that. Then he's got a phone interview with somebody, maybe Fox or CNBC. So that'll come up later. Then at 2 o'clock, which this will nope, it's not live. They'll probably show it afterwards. 2 o'clock, he shows an executive order signing, but they show it as being closed press. So as it's written, there are no public events. So you just be stuck with me.
Oh, okay. We'll have maybe just one show, 1 4-hour show.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I told everybody it won't be 3 hours tonight, but guess what? We're at two hours and 10 minutes right now. So let me read super chats if there are any here.
Have a great evening there, Barry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed and go watch. You know what? I have guilty pleasures at night when I'm off the air. Oftentimes Robin, she doesn't stay up this late. She goes to bed, and so me and Midas go sit on the couch and I watch either Law and Order or Law and Order SVU or. I love this new show that's on lately, CIA. I don't know if you watched that. Really good show.
I haven't heard of that one.
Really good show on CBS. And it follows the FBI. I like that show. And then on Sunday night, which I have taped as well. I don't know if you've seen Tracker. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it yet. No.
So I get in there and I tune in one show until Midas kicks me because I'm snoring or something. Tells me we got to go to bed. We got to go to bed. So thank you for your long day today.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you. All right. So let me get this up and you guys can have a day. Diamond G. There's a different name. Today is a great day. Can't stop, won't stop winning. Absolutely. We the people. Is it just me or does SV look and talk like Michael Keaton? I'm Batman. That's where you got that from. Okay. Please, can I buy a hat? I really want one. I don't like selling stuff. You know what's funny? A lot of people sell stuff. I don't like selling stuff because I just appreciate you guys watching. I'm not looking to make any money on you guys. I've got sponsors and stuff like that if you buy their products is great. But I don't look to sell things. So, just like we did with the Bibles, we'll go ahead and ramp up giveaways with the hats and things of that nature. And that's my way of giving back. So, I'll let you know when we start giving more away. G. Fisher, bad day for Obama, Sharpton, and the entire ambulance chasing cabal of trash. Good way to say that. Bureau McNamara, check out California's new bill they are pushing. You're talking about the billionaires tax that everybody's freaking out? Yes, I am going to cover that. Tinley, I see post-Giuliani's New York as a microcosm of post-Trump America. Maybe that's why Trump is working so hard to build a better world so we have no broken windows. Good point. Good point. Tinley again, DOJ Fraud Division is Doge in official capacity. I completely agree with you. G. Fisher, only 15 months in office, Trump is tearing it up in so many ways and so many achievements. Buddy Sanders thought black folks can't get ID. Oh, gosh. He's got them chasing their tails. Oh, my goodness. Jennifer, very grateful for your positive reporting. Thank you. You keep me positive. Also, become chair for my county, getting involved. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, you got to get involved. Hey, Chiosop, Tim not going to do well in Somalia. If they arrest him, I'm telling you, get your helmets because they're going to riot. G. Fisher, I bet the guy that did the Minnesota the Hortman offing had a deal. He's probably now Henry Hill, Waltz. Oh, yeah. Okay, what he's referring to, if you guys don't remember, maybe I should dig that up out of the archives, that there was a Minnesota politician that got wasted, and then the guy who shot them just kind of went to, yeah, that was weird. Chiosop, the fake media is trying to help DOJ to help Comey. Trip up DOJ, exactly. Lele, waiting on indictments on Obama. I don't think we're going to get there. We'll see. Chiosop, after the Comey thing, Flynn flips on Trump. Did he, or was that an act? I don't know. Flynn was in government before. How did he not know? Exactly. How did he not know? None of it makes any sense. He's too shrewd. And if he lied, what was he lying about? Judy, thanks, Barry and Mods. God bless all. And Neo, thank you, Barry. Thanks so much. Great show. They set up Flynn. Comey had to be put behind bars. They need to go down. No more. God bless President Trump in America. I completely agree. All right, everybody. I'm going to go watch some television, chill for about an hour, and I shall see you guys sometime tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in on the night show.